So yes, it is true. The Trump administration is suspending some student loan repayment plans just due to some of the things that they're doing, and a lot of people are being hit behind it. Now, I will show you some things that you can do that can help you if you fall victim to this situation. All is not lost. Look at every situation as an opportunity, and it's usually some type of alternative way that you can still get whatever it is you want to get accomplished. Now, first and foremost, student loans definitely is something that a lot of people have been trying to get away from, trying to get forgiven, trying to get deleted out their credit report, all of those things. I get it, because you may not even be in the field of what you went to school for. And a lot of times you accumulate all of this debt, not knowing that it's not the true solution or true path to wealth for most people. Does it have its benefits? Yes. But that doesn't fit most people. But that's not what this is about. However, the Trump administration suspends some student loans, and people are witnessing their payments rising. So right here it says some student loan borrowers are seeing their payment plans get suspended, which means their payments are rising. This has to do with changes at the Educational Department, or the Department of Education, implemented by the Trump administration. Approximately 43 million Americans have some kind of student loan debt, according to Newsweek. The Education Department reported that Americans collectively have 1.5 trillion in student debt nationwide. That's crazy to me. Primarily, you got to understand that education is free. You're on a platform right now that gives you free education just by pushing play. Yes, you pay with your attention, but it's probably nothing that they can teach you at the university that you can't learn for free. And information has been free for some time. Now, I'm not talking about the person who has to do clinicals, and, you need to have hands-on experience because you're actually doing surgeries and dissecting things. This ain't that. But as far as just from a visual educational standpoint, some of the things they're going to be teaching, you can learn for free. But for people to be 1.5 trillion in debt nationwide is crazy. Now, I'm fortunate to not have accumulated debt. I went to school for a certain amount of time, but the times that I went to school before I dropped out officially, it didn't require me to come out of pocket. Fresh out of high school, I was able to have a scholarship that allowed me to pay for my first year of college. First 2 semesters of college, I went to a university. Based on what I did in high school, I qualified for some type of scholarship as well as a Pell Grant, and all of that totaled up to cover what my expenses were at the school. I didn't apply for any additional financial aid, even though they offered it. I chose not to, and any other things they were offering, I just didn't do it. Years later, I decided, you know what, I want to go back to school. This was probably about 6 years later, 5 maybe, about 4 or 5 years later. I said, you know what, I want to go back to school. And then I went back to school, and turns out I ended up going to school, and really I thought I was going back to school to further my education. I went to meet my wife, whole nother conversation. But I was going to pay out of pocket. And I had a job, a good job, and I was paying out of pocket. However, I still qualify for certain things. I qualified for a grant. I applied for that, got it. I was doing good in the school, and one of the teachers was like, hey, I think you should apply for this scholarship, because she liked me. She felt like I was, worthy of the scholarship. I was doing good. It was an English teacher of mine. And I was like, okay. So I applied for the scholarship, got the approval of another teacher. Good relationships, those things help as well. Applied for the scholarship, got the scholarship. I ended up getting paid to go to school that particular semester, because it got covered from the grant plus the scholarship that I qualified for while in school after going to school 4 or 5 years later. I'm not saying that to rub it in. I just want you to know that, especially if you have kids who want to go to school, or you want them to go to school, that there are grants and scholarships out here. Don't have them just applying for all of this debt, and it's not going to serve them in the future when they have debt and they're not even utilizing the degree if they follow through and got the degree. I had to get that rant off, because there's so many people who still talking about, yeah, they got to go to school, got to go to college. Okay. But what if that's not what they really want to do? And later in life, they don't even use that degree. You could have at least tried to get some type of scholarship or student loan. And I'm not even talking about putting money to the side in the form of an investment, or one of the plans that allow you to invest for your child's education. I am not even a fan of that, because they might not want to go to school, and they only box you into what you can pay for school or use that money for school solely. They're starting to make some adjustments, but try to get them a scholarship, some type of, grant, and you can start doing that early. That said, what's happening in the student loan programs, then we'll get to what actually you can do if you have been hit by this. So the Trump administration got rid of online and paper applications for income-driven repayment plans, which is helping a lot of people. People were paying little to nothing, and it still was showing up as if they were on time, overtime, and it was helping a lot of people's credit report. And I know because I've looked at tons of credit reports, and them being in deferment status or getting paid as agreed, even though they paid $0, was actually helping their score. So the former president, Joe Biden, saving a valuable education, the SAVE plan and the public school loan forgiveness plan options are no longer available. So now that these economic-driven repayment plans are being suspended, borrowers can't qualify for potential forgiveness or lower monthly payments based on their income or family size. Also, any payments that borrowers make no longer count towards the 120 qualifying payments they need to get the student loan forgiveness under the PSLF. So I won't go into too many details, but I also know that the Department of Education has experienced some staff layoffs. They're doing away with the Department of Education. Some people are mad. I'm not mad because we homeschool, but it was because we understood that the school system wasn't necessarily the best from an education standpoint. And that being said, why would you want to consider or still consider them getting education if it's not, doing what it needs to do per se? So the Department of Education downsizing could be a benefit and could allow you to put matters into your own hands so that certain things are being taught that you want to be taught. Of course, if you had the fortitude or abilities to do it, because not everybody should homeschool. Not everybody is educated themselves to do it or have the patience, and it takes patience. So that being said, you have to do what works best for you, but I'm not mad at the Department of Education going away or being downsized. But let's talk about some of the solutions. What can student loan borrowers still do? Now, this is one area I'm going to show you, but I'm going to show a totally different area that I think could be even of better benefit. Our borrowers currently enrolled in the income-driven repayment plan should get a sense of when your recertification deadline is and get a sense of what options are available to you if the form is not available online to recertify your income. So that's something you can consider doing. Or you can tap into studentaid.gov and see if this is a good fit for you. I'm aware this may not work for everybody, but it could work for you. And if so, then great. If not, share with somebody else who you feel may benefit. But the borrower defense loan discharge, what does that look like? The borrower defense loan, so borrower defense loan discharge, and it keeps kicking me out. But what is it and how can you apply? Borrower defense to repayment is a legal ground for discharging federal direct loans. Under the law, you may have a borrower defense to repayment if your school engaged in certain misconduct related to the making of a federal loan or the educational services it provided, which caused you harm, warranting a full discharge of your applicable federal direct loans. If the U.S. Department of Education approves your application for borrower defense, we will discharge any remaining balance on the federal student loans you took to attend the school and may also refund loan payments you already made. Borrowers must submit applications under the penalty of perjury that an application is accurate and true to the best of their knowledge. Parent Plus borrowers are also eligible for borrower defense if the conduct described above occurred to their child. Parent Plus borrowers must submit their own application and may submit an application even if their child does not. That's helpful for many parents who may have been the reason why their kids went to the school, and now they're the ones who are taking matters into their own hands and handling the business. But before you apply, make sure you read that important messages and keep this in mind. This is all on the studentaid.gov to where you can access this. So I'm not going to read this verbatim, but I told you how to access it. That way you can take advantage of it. But you read that before you actually apply so you can have a better understanding. Reason borrowers can apply for the borrower defense discharge. Most borrowers file a borrower defense application because they believe their school misled them or lied to them about something that was central to their decision to enroll. And that happens all the time. They sell a lot of false hopes, false dreams, and, this could fall into a category of misrepresentation. So, for example, some borrowers have qualified for borrower defense in the past when their school made false or misleading promises guaranteeing that they would get a job after graduation, earn a certain salary with their degree, or be able to transfer their credits to another school. This is a big one. I know a lot of people fell victim to the fact that they thought they would get a job guaranteed after graduation, earn a certain salary with their degree, and that is not happening. This can help a lot of people. Share this with somebody who you feel may benefit. Do I have to submit an application to receive a borrower defense discharge. If you think your situation qualifies for a bar defense, you should submit an application. In some instances, ED has discharged loans for borrowers who didn't apply for bar defense. However, we can't guarantee that similar discharges will be extended to students of any particular school. Therefore, it is best to submit a detailed application. Eligibility for borrower defense, kinds of school misconduct that may qualify. Number 1, substantial misrepresentation, substantial omission of fact, breach of contract, aggressive and deceptive recruitment, judgment, prior secretarial action. And it has a breakdown of each and every one of these and explanation of what that means. You can check that out, on your own time. Some people say, okay, I paid off my student loans before I submitted my application. Am I eligible for borrower defense? Well, to be eligible to apply, you must have one or more outstanding federal student loans. So simply put, no. The outstanding loan must be associated with the school that is the subject of your borrower defense application. Before you apply and start your application, be sure to decide what information you will include on your application by downloading the PDF version of the borrower defense application, understanding the types of conduct listed under the question, kinds of school misconduct that may qualify. So that's what that list is going to be all about. If you look at 1 through 6, this lets you know why you think you may qualify, and you can include that in the list. Gather documents to support your application. So whatever documents you got that can support it, include it. Materially complete standard under 2023 regulation. So the 2023 regulation has material complete standard. Your application must be materially complete to be considered. If your application is not materially complete, your application will be denied. So make sure it's materially complete. And in order to be materially complete, your application must contain the following information. Number 1, a description of one or more acts or omission by your school. If you know it was more than one, include more than one. Don't just limit it to one if it was more than one. Number 2, the school or school representative who committed the act or omission. So you might need to include some additional details about, how they committed whatever misconduct. Number 3, approximately when the act or omission occurred. 4, how to act or omission impacted, or how the act or omission impacted your decision to attend the school, to continue attending the school, or to take out the loan for which you are asserting a defense to repayment. So what is it that they said that triggered you to go ahead and go to the school, commit to the school, get the loan? Include that. And number 5, a description of the detriment you suffer as a result of the school's act or omission. This means you need to explain what the result of the school's misconduct was, specifically what harm you experienced because of the misconduct. And that could be, I went through all of this because I couldn't get a job in my field. I went through, public scrutiny, and my family looking at me this way. I had to suffer this way. I had to take odd-end jobs. I was, whatever it is. You ain't got to lie. Just say whatever it is that you experienced, and that can help with your stuff being materially complete. How to write your claim, that's on here as well. So make sure you include those details. So it's going to be key for you to include all of these details. In fact, I'll link it below so you can have it. That way you have full details necessary to make sure it is materially complete. And then you apply for the bar defense discharge. And once you submit it, see if this is something that can help you. But I just wanted to show you how, even though the administration has changed some things, there are some solutions out here. I'm still scrolling just so you can see there are a lot of different details. Closed school discharge, discrimination claims. So it's a lot of different details for you to dive into so you can see if this can benefit you. I feel like this can help a lot of people because that list falls into what I feel many colleges may commit in the form of misconduct, and you can use that to your advantage. Not lie, not fabricate, not, use a lot of hyperbole or exaggerating things. Keep it a buck and see if you can keep your bucks. That's all I got. Mr. Smith signing out. Salute.